Welcome back, painting friends. Today we're going to paint a cute little baby lamb with a crown of flowers. Colors you're going to need: gray, white, yellow, green, black, and a light blue. Now, I always keep my favorite 4 brushes at the studio: my 1-inch flat brush, my 10, 6, and 1 round brush. Remember to have a cup of water and a rag for keeping those brushes clean. And remember, if you like what you're seeing here today, make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel Painting with Purpose. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple of little spots of white paint with my my 1-inch flat brush and just kind of drop it on my canvas. Now from there, I'm going to take gray and do the same thing. So just little bits of gray everywhere. And then I'm even gonna add a small amount of blue in there. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this 1-inch flat brush. I'm just gonna kind of blend these colors together, going top to bottom to fill that color in with a nice light gray blue color. I can absolutely kind of paint this way if I want those colors to mix a little more, if I want them more streaky. It's really up to you. Sometimes I like to take my paints left to right just to kind of add a little bit more of a mix to them. So mix it until you like it, and then let's move on to that cute little lamb. When you're finished, wipe off and wash off that brush. Let your background dry, and when you come back, we're going to add in that lamb. With a dry background, I'm now going to grab my number 6 round brush. I'm going to lay out my lamb. I'm going to grab some white paint, and I'm going to make a U shape. And this U shape is going to be just slightly tilted. I want him to have his head just a little bit tilted. After my U shape is on there, I'm going to give him 2 ears, and I'm going to make a frowny face on the top and a smiley face on the bottom. This one might fall off the side, but this one over here is not going to. So smiley face on the bottom right here, little smile, and then a frowny face on the top. Now for the top of his head, I want to make it's like a cloud shape. So it's going to be little bumps here, there, and everywhere, some small, some big, just all the way across the top of his head. Think about how you would create a cloud when you were little. That is the shape you want. I'm going to go ahead and fill this entire head in with white paint. You can use your number 6 round brush or your number 10 round brush to fill this entire space in with white. Now, just like we did with the top of his head, we're going to use that same cloud line down at the bottom of his body. So right here on the left side of his head, just make a couple of bumpy lines, some big, some small, all the way around, and the same thing on the opposite side. We are going to fill this in with white paint. I'm going to use my number 6 round brush, and then we are going to let this dry. When we come back, we are going to add some great little details to that fur and ears. With my number 6 round brush, I'm going to grab some gray paint on a dirty white brush, and I'm going to make a little line right underneath his chin. I want some shadow to show there, and I'm just going to make some squiggles. So I'm going to go a little squiggle to the left and a little squiggle to the right, small little squiggles filling in this entire body. So again, a little bit of gray paint on my number 6 round brush with some white paint, and I'm going to just kind of take my brush and spin it twice to the left and then spin it twice to the right and fill in this entire body area. At the top of his head, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a little cloud line along the forehead, and then I'm going to fill in with some of those big and little swirls on the top of his head. I definitely forgot to add red and pink to my palette, so add those to my palette, and then I'm going to take some white paint with some pink on it, and I'm going to fill in the ears. Now the top of the ear, I'm going to leave a large white space, so leave a pretty big white space at the top of the ear, but then the bottom of the ear, I'm going to make it significantly skinnier. So top of the ear, nice big white space, bottom of the ear, a lot skinnier, and go ahead and fill that in. I'm now going to go in with my number 6 round brush with some black paint, and I'm going to make some swirls. So they could be as much as like a big swirl or like a letter C. They can go all the way into a spiral. It's totally up to you how you want to make this work, but I'm going to add several different swirls all over both the bottom of his body as well as the top of his body. Let's go ahead and let this dry. I might even add a second coat of white paint right up here on his face area, just to make sure it's nice bright white. But let this dry. When we come back, we'll finish him up. With a dry background, we're now going to add in some of those fun face details. Anytime I use black paint, I do like to water it down. I like my black to go on a little bit more like a nice smooth ink. So I've got my number 6 round brush and some watered down black paint. I'm going to keep my face of my lamb pretty simple. So watch this, right down here at the base, I'm going to make a curved line that has an opposite curved line to it. So that is his nose and mouth. That is all I am planning on adding. Now his eyes up here, okay, we are going to make them oval shape where the top is going to be a taller line and the bottom is going to be a shorter line, okay? So again, over here, top is going to be a taller line and the bottom is going to be a shorter line. This is a good time to see if they are the right size, and if not, you can always kind of expand one of them to match. Go ahead and paint that whole space in black. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of eyelashes, so a little bit of black paint, and right over here I'm just going to add a couple of little spouts off to the side. And let's go ahead and talk about this crown. So you can make your crown any way you want, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a green line that just goes right across her forehead. Sometimes I call her a her, sometimes a him. I think it just kind of depends on what type of little lamb baby you want. So a green line or two across the middle. I'm going to make really long, skinny leaves on these. So really long, skinny leaves. And a lot of times I like to add yellow to my leaves. But we're going to first of all make all of our leaves, and then we're going to add some yellow and some white to them. So once my leaves are on there, I could take a little bit of yellow paint and put it right on the top of that green. I'm going to put this down at the bottom of the green area. So each one of these are just going to have a little bit of yellow at the bottom. I'm going to wipe that brush off and I'm going to add a little bit of white at the top. Kind of blend those colors together. So I've got a green base color. I'm putting a little bit of white at the top and a little bit of yellow at the bottom, and then just kind of blending them, letting them play together a little bit. Have a nice light spring color. I'm saying that as it is sleeting outside of the studio. Nice spring color. I'm also going to go with a little bit of green and add a couple of small little lines that kind of go up and down, anywhere you want really. I do like to keep mine as, almost said negative, odd numbers. So I've got 3 lines, and I'm going to use my brush with just some dark green paint. Just kind of drop a couple of little green spots. I like to use my brush almost as a stamp sometimes. Makes it for a very uniformed little spots on there. Now I'm going to keep the flower on this guy pretty simple, but I'm going to do it a different way. A lot of times when I paint my roses, I paint them with my finger, but today I am going to use pink and red paint. So if you look at this, I've got my number 6 round brush with pink at the bottom and red at the top, and I am going to make a curved line going around. I'm just taking that curved line and kind of thumping it all the way around. I'm going to wipe off that red and I'm going to go with just pink and do another curved line. So all I'm doing is kind of making that same cloud line we had before, where I'm making bumps that kind of go in. And this third one, I'm just going to add white paint to my brush. If you want to add a couple more flowers, you can. I might add a couple with my yellow on my finger, just right behind it, just a couple of little dots. I'm going to do like 4 or 5 dots in a circle right behind that flower. Okay, we're going to let this dry for the final time. When we come back, we're going to add all those final details, the highlights in the eye, the highlights in the flower, the highlights on the ear. All right, it is final detail time. Let's do this. First things first, I'm going to add a small highlight to the eyes. I'm going to add some white paint on my finger. I'm going to put a large dot at the top of the eyes. And then I'm going to grab a small amount of white paint on the back of my round brush, my number 6 round brush, and I'm going to add another small dot just next to that. From there, I'm going to take my finger with a little bit of white paint and a little bit of pink paint on it, so more white than pink. And right here on the cheeks, I'm just going to kind of tap in some of that white and pink color, giving this sweet little lamb some cheeks. If you think it's too pink, you just add a little bit more white on top. If you think it's too white, add a little bit more pink on top. But by tapping it in, you are going to get a really nice blended color of that white and that pink. It might sound crazy to you, but with my number 6 round brush, I'm going to go in and add a little bit of white and blue on my brush. I'm just going to make a couple of rounded light blue colors on here. So white and blue mixed together. If it's too much blue, go back over it with white. Some of my blue took over the white, so I'm adding a little bit of white to it, including the top of her head, just a couple little spots. Wipe that brush off with a clean number 6 round brush. I'm going to take some white paint and I'm just going to make a couple of lines going from the edge in to her ear. And then same thing with that gray paint. I'm going to go from the inside out. So I'm going from this corner of her ear out towards the edge of her ear. I'm going to add some ghost lines, and ghost lines are lines. I take a little bit of black paint or a little bit of white paint and I water it down and I outline kind of messy. So I'm going to use some black paint on this one, so a little bit of watered down black paint, and I'm going to make just a couple of little lines going around her body. And these lines, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. There's some places, they're not every place. It just kind of depends on where you're wanting these to go. But every once in a while, I'm just going to add a small little line of black to just give a little bit of emphasis. You know, I wasn't going to leave her mouth like this, but I do think I am going to add a small little smile on there. I already think she looks more approachable. Wipe that brush off, a little bit of white paint. I'm going to add a small white outline around the top of her eye, as well as the bottom of her eye. And then let's look back at this rose. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to add a couple of curved lines on this rose, just adding some definition to it. And then, of course, in the middle of those white flowers, I'm going to add the middle of those yellow flowers, I'm going to add a white polka dot. And then with a little bit of white paint, I'm just going to add some very gentle outlines on the outside of that flower. And there we have it, a sweet little baby lamb. Don't forget that when you're finished, you need to sign your name, and it's in a color that's going to show up on your canvas. I always put my name in the bottom right corner. Make sure that you take a picture of your artwork and you post it to my Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. I never get to see what you're painting at home unless you post it to my Facebook page. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose, so you are kept up to date on all of my tutorials. And remember, as always, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Have a great day, friends. Bye now. By the way, if you've ever painted with me before, you know that I have a really hard time stopping when I'm doing outlines. And so here I am trying to finish my video and wanting to add more outlines to my picture. Just love the way that these ghost lines kind of bring things to life. What can I say? Okay, I am finished now. Have a great day, friends. Bye now.